Your first day in the lands between can be punishing. Very, very punishing. Elden Ring does offer a tutorial system, and it has improved significantly since release. However, this is still a From Software game, which means exactly where to go is not going to be spelled out for you. I'm StoneBear13, and I've made a small bare bones walkthrough on how to get some of the most basic items for your first journey in the lands between. Almost immediately upon waking up in the lands between, the tutorial, if you have it enabled, will notify you of the Cave of Knowledge. I highly recommend running through this cave, especially if it's your first time playing this game. As I stated earlier, the tutorials have improved, and through the Cave of Knowledge, it's actually significantly better at notifying you when you can do certain actions, as well as some of the basics of combat. After exiting the Stranded Graveyard, taking your first step into Limgrave, I'd recommend taking a right and heading down the hill, so that you can learn about summoning pools through the tutorial, and pick up your small golden effigy. Returning back to the top of the hill, we can now grab the Site of Grace in front of us called the First Step. Now, I'm not going to include White Mask Vara. While he does give you some guidance on where to go in the beginning of the game, he is optional, and I will be having a separate video about his questline later. If we follow the guidance of Grace, it will point us towards a church. Leaving the First Step Site of Grace, we'll stay to the left-hand side of the rocks, so that we don't attract the attention of the Tree Sentinel. As you approach the church, make sure you enter from the front, and grab the Golden Rune 2 on your right-hand side. Inside the church is a Site of Grace, and also a friendly merchant named Kale. If you ask Kale about his recommendation, he'll say to buy a crafting kit. Now this is where that Golden Rune comes in. Normally, if you didn't run the Cave of Knowledge, you would have 0 runes right now. But by selling that Golden Rune 2, you make a quick 400, and can spend 300 on that crafting kit. Next, you'll want to open your map, and look to the northeast. There, you'll see a small icon. This is actually the symbol for a map fragment, and that's exactly the next destination that we are headed. Once you exit the wooded area, you'll see some ruins. You have to be careful around here, because certain enemies will alert all the others to your presence. But if we quickly grab the map fragment, we'll immediately want to turn to our left and head up the hill to the Site of Grace. Resting at Sites of Grace will de-aggro all enemies. However, if an enemy steps within a certain range of the Grace, it will deactivate. Resting at the Gatefront Site of Grace will trigger a short cinematic, and you'll be rewarded the Spectral Steed whistle, which allows you to ride Torrent through the lands between. Once you're ready, your next step will be to head back to the Church of Ella. When you arrive, a witch who calls herself Rena will call you over to talk with her. When you do, she'll reward you with the Spirit Calling Bell. I highly recommend putting both the Spectral Steed Whistle and whatever spirit summons you wish to use in a pouch slot so that they're easily accessible to you. The last basic item we need is far off to the east. To head there, we'll need to use Torrent, and we'll start at the Gatefront Site of Grace. Follow the road east, across the bridge, and take a left at the fork. Eventually you'll come to a church. This is the third Church of America, and the item that we seek is just inside. Heading in through the front, we'll see a Site of Grace, and directly behind that, in a small brazier, is the Flask of Wondrous Physick. The Flask of Wondrous Physick is the third and final type of flask in Elden Ring. While resting at any Site of Grace, you can mix your Wondrous Physick. Using any 2 crystal tears that you have found on your journey, you can combine their effects into the Flask of Wondrous Physick. And there's a total of 32 tears hidden in the lands between. Now that you have every basic item that you need, it's time to really start your journey in the lands between. Once again, I'm StoneBear13, and thanks for watching.